yet? Do you want to know what the Marvel Movie News fans thought of Wonder Woman? Do you want to know what DC Movie News thinks of Runaways? Do you want to talk about all things comic? This is a very comic movie and TV show holiday special spectacular!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Oh, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg, the Batmobile lost her wheel, Joker got away. Hey!
Guys,
Yes! Holiday nerd out!
it is the holidays.
Holiday nerd out!
You know, nothing says the holidays like geeking out, family, and sharing what you love. And so, I would like to welcome you to a very comic book and movie TV show holiday special spectacular where we freak out about how awesome it is to love comics and all adaptations from all over the world in 2017. We are coming to you live from the Amalgam Universe, gathering together to talk about everything from both houses of ideas. Welcome. I am Jandreau at COYJANDRE. I can't know my name. Joined by Maria McCarty.
At MARKEIA
And
Roxy Striar!
you know how to spell her name. And
Whatever.
Adam Gertler at Adam Gertler all the time, anytime.
now
All the time!
all that zeal was brought to you by the fact that we've been gearing up for half an hour. We are holidayed up. We got cookies. We got eggnog-like substances. We got
Amazing
hydration.
peanut butter cookie.
And the best thing was, though we were late, we were celebrating how much each of us wanted to talk about the other's properties we don't get to on our respective shows.
I also don't know if you can call it late, considering they didn't know this was even happening. So bonus for
That's
you
true.
guys.
Extra
We're
content.
early.
We're early to nothing and something. So I wanted to thank you guys for joining us. I want you to watch this through the holidays. I want you to show your family what kind of weird stuff you're into. And most importantly, for me, this is about showing that there is no separation in comics. We are all comic fans. We can like everything together. So in honor of the holidays, we're going to rock some Christmas story type goodness, and we're going to do Ghosts of Christmas Past, Ghosts of Christmas Present, and Ghosts of Christmas Future when it comes to comic books. And all the Scrooges / trolls on the internet can learn that we can all love everything. And that is my goal of this show. I really think that everything is good to watch together, guys. So we're going to start with the Ghosts of Comicsmas Past. And we're going to start with DC movies. So, DC movies.
We have a lot of ghosts.
This year.
You're gonna start with the one good thing we got?
No, you guys.
You're gonna start with that one good? That's
We're going to start two good. You guys got two good movies this year.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Now, two good movies this year were, we got Lego Batman.
Yes.
And we got Wonder Woman.
Yes, we did.
Now, I'd like you
Suck
guys to
it,
tell us what
Duncan.
you guys thought. That was this year. How crazy is that?
That's
Yeah.
wild. That is
Okay.
wild. Wonder Woman feels like a different lifetime ago. It feels like so long ago.
Pre and post WW.
Yet, what I will say is that people are still talking about it, which
Yep.
shows the impact this truly had. I was expecting this to do better during awards season, like Globes. Really surprised with Patty not getting nominated, with the film not getting nominated, with Gal not getting nominated. I feel like that's
Yeah.
right up their alley.
Yeah, I agree.
But this movie was amazing, and it finally gave us something to talk about on our show. You guys have no idea how it feels. They don't know.
I loved Wonder Woman. It was a paradigm shift of what you can expect from superhero movie because of the vulnerability, because of her innocence, and because of No Man's Land. Oh my Lord. That is probably one of my absolute favorite moments of
all of comic movies.
in all of comic movies.
Definitely the highlight of the film. I think, it's interesting. 2017 is going to go down as a year. It's like we almost had so much goodness, we can't even process it all yet. I mean, there were so many... I don't think too many of these comic book films shit the bed this year. Like, there was so much goodness this year. Obviously, Wonder Woman, for not just being a really well-done film, but the timing, the paradigm shift... everything that's happened with the collapse of the evil patriarchy that runs the world.
That movie is so
starting
timely.
with Daisy and Star Wars, and because these things are not just good for a female character, and I'll see it, but universally, everybody's just about these characters in a way that is outside of sexuality. And the cultural significance of Wonder Woman, maybe rightly so, has superseded its, quality. It's a touchstone of a film. You know what I mean?
And
it's a watershed moment.
We have so many properties. We're going to talk about present. We're going to talk about future. We have so many properties every year. We have so many properties from Marvel in the past. I think the best relationship in any comic movie to date is Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. I think the
love that.
relationship, and that's, I'm counting New Line, I'm counting Fox, I'm saying everything. I think that's the best relationship, and I think that's because they trusted the audience to believe an actual relationship could take place in a sword and sandals superhero movie.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Do you
Who would have
disagree?
thought?
No,
Oh, it's over.
Yeah,
No,
I wholeheartedly agree.
I had the Notebook happen at me with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, no, but I was saying, like, who would have thought how satisfying it could be to have the romantic interest be a three-dimensional character with their own wants and their own ambitions and goals and morals, and then have that go in line with the lead character? Who could have thunk that?
I know, and then to get such a great spoilers, guys. If you haven't seen this stuff, I can't imagine that you're one of like 100 people watching us right now. So it seems silly to even say that, but. To then get a well-earned sacrifice at the end of that film, you know, where obviously we know Wonder Woman's not going to die, but you got, I mean, like, because we were saying before, it's like, oh, well, they're not going to keep her in that time period, so what are they going to do with Chris Pine, and is it just a one and done for him, or are they going to do some stupid, cheesy grandson thing or incarnation?
Oh, man.
And who knows, but for right now, it was a great sacrifice in the film. The villain... A lot of people criticize in the film, and it's not great, but what is great is the retelling of the moment, the different perspective, the absence of sound that happens, and then you hear it. Like, it's really emotional, and it, like, after the No Man's Land sequence, which you mentioned, it's like, it finishes on a great note. Like, it sticks a landing.
For me, I think that was one of the few comic deaths that had all the impact it needed to because of the fact that it was in a different period. We theoretically know because of that photo that he stays dead, and to me that shows that comic movie deaths can have impact. It's not the Coulson experience.
Everybody knock on wood. With
Yeah, that's true. Wonder Woman 2 starring Chris
Flipping me
Pine.
out.
God damn it.
Oh, so what? It's like,
we
no,
ta-
he needed to die.
Can we
I'm
talk
sorry,
about
he did.
Batman 2? I mean, Lego Batman as well.
Yeah,
Just
like a Batman's
Yes.
that was even before. That was in February,
It was,
right?
it was a Valentine's Day movie.
But for some reason, that feels sooner to me than Wonder Woman.
'Cause
I
Wonder
guess
Woman's
I
so
waited my
iconic, I
whole
feel
life
like,
for
you know,
Wonder
like-
Woman.
Yeah, but Lego Batman like really hit it for that family touchstone. I enjoyed the
Oh,
heck
absolutely.
out of
It was
this.
so much fun.
Not
It was great.
only did it pay homage to just the ridiculousness that's Batman. Like, yes, Batman had all of those outfits. Yes, they should all exist in the Batman cave. And I love the continuance of that particular Batman.
Yeah.
What's
Oh
his
my
name? Will
Arnett.
Will Arnett.
Yeah.
That particular Batman
And
to
Zach
get his
Galifianakis.
own
That's the trick.
his
So
own picture
crazy,
is, like,
right?
so about
And the deep
it.
cuts, the amount of villains and crazy deep Batman knowledge that movie got to dive into, like villains we'll never see in movies because they can do it there.
That's what's the best thing about this movie is that it knows Batman better than any Batman has ever known Batman.
Yeah.
All the
And
references.
that's why at least people like myself are so excited that this guy Chris McKay would get his hands on any DC property because this guy clearly
cares.
knows his stuff.
Yeah, and he loves it. He loves it enough to make fun of it in a way that you also laugh with it.
Yeah, because it's right. It's finding that way to laugh at the thing, but not at its own expense. To laugh
You're
at our
laughing
history.
with, not at Batman. You're
The
laughing
history
with
of these.
Yeah, what I will say about this
BVS.
film,
They made fun
though-
of BVS in their own movie. I mean,
like 6 months later, like
6
BVS
months later.
the paint
just
hadn't dried on
happened.
BVS yet. They were like, "That's gonna be." Ooh.
The one thing, though, is that the longevity of this movie, I don't feel like people are still remembering this as the big hit that it was. When we all went to see it, we were like, yes, DC, slay,
Yeah.
so good, I'm all about it. This movie's funny, and it's cool, and all the voices.
But do you think that's because the older people liked it and not the younger people?
audience
Because
on the
I
internet.
felt like I saw
is
it
what
at
I
a
was about to
screening.
get to.
Okay, I'm sorry. Finish
is
your
why
point.
they work
We're
together,
on the-
folks.
we're
They
on
got
the-
ideas
We
together.
actually talk about this quite frequently together on our show, DC Movie News.
Oh, it's that show. It's
Yeah, I think that the problem is because it's easy for us to sit around this table and be like, that movie was dope.
yeah.
I know my sister and her friends were not loving it. They weren't watching
I was
it,
next to
and
a
she's
14-year-old girl, and I felt very uncomfortable with how
I
much
kept
I was laughing.
laughing
I was
over
like,
the kids.
those tears were
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out. I lost my shit in a movie. One of the most I laughed in a theater this whole year.
So
And like
good.
this actual person who is probably the aimed, I don't know, market for this thing, and I'm like 40, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if this is okay. But I see that's why it had that effect. And they said it didn't, it didn't go up from the Lego. It didn't make as much as the original Lego film.
But the rewatchability of this for me
Is so high.
is so high.
high.
I can watch this anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, just the lobster thermidor itself. I'm like, what?
So
Oh,
it's
yeah. Yeah.
this
So
rich
funny.
person dish from the 70s or
And all the
something.
rich jokes and all the like layers they gave to both Bruce Wayne and Batman that they don't do in the movies. So that was the Ghost of Comic Miss Pass for DC. Now the Ghost of Comic Miss Pass for Marvel, we had Logan, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and Spider-Man: Homecoming this year.
Piss off.
So
What a sucky 3 movies.
I'm just
What a
saying,
shit year it was for you guys.
That Oscar film and that tearjerker and then that reinvention of an iconic character was rough for us. We struggled through.
Yeah, I'm
No,
telling
but
you, I don't know how we live.
I just
Yeah.
now Logan was the first thing a lot of studios got by way of screeners. Logan is going for the Oscar run. It's actually trying to qualify. I think it deserves at least the best supporting for Stewart.
Yeah, at least for Sir Patrick Stewart.
This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but Logan was not my favorite of the Marvel films.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. My problem is usually I see these movies on the earlier side when critics are watching them, and I watched this later. It was still opening weekend, but all of my friends, all of you guys had already seen it. Everybody was like, this is the best movie that ever was. You'll cry the whole time. And I went, and expectations were so high, and it didn't live up to the hype for me. I still really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I didn't think like, wow, that tore apart my soul, or wow, I'm devastated. I was like, oh, that was a good one.
Overhype can be a hell of a thing.
Yeah, and it really
can.
was.
For me, it was like it was set in this like pitch perfect dystopia world, and not only that, but you get to see Paul Xavier. I did not.
You know,
do that.
Paulie Xavier.
You know, Paulie.
Jersey.
Paul Xavier.
Charles is an
Merry
alternate
Christmas,
universe
Paulie.
cousin.
Professor
There's
Xavier.
Kane Marco. There's Charles. There's
Professor Xavier and Wolverine, and you have them near the end of their epic arc, and you really get how their lives are impossible. It
Yeah.
is impossible to
And
live
X-23,
the
we
way
need
that
to
they
give some credit
live.
to introducing a character that I didn't think would translate to film as
Daphne
well as she
Keane,
did.
yeah.
Daphne
Baller.
Keane. That character.
And
Okay.
heartbreaking moments in this film.
I thought for the first 6 months, though, that her name was Ecstasy. I thought it was very bizarre, and it was revealed to me that it was X-23, and I was like, yeah, I need to be looking
I'm gonna
closer
go
at
read
this
these
story.
comics
Yeah,
because
I
that
gotta
makes a little
read
more
these.
sense.
Yeah,
So
really.
That's fine. She was taught by Paul Xavier. So.
exactly. She was at Paul's School for the Gifted.
The ecstasy learning.
He runs
Paul
the
Xavier
school in Mexico.
Well, there is the stripper storyline in X-23. Do you guys know that? There's the first time she was introduced to the comic before they kind of retconned it. There was a prostitute storyline in New York that was this young adult, and it was wicked dark because it was basically leaning into the fact that her healing factor would be used nefariously and awfully, and it's this awful
Ooh,
it's
like she could never get pregnant, sort of
she
thing.
could never-
Or?
like it was you
Yeah.
can do whatever to the X-23. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross.
But the anim- like
pretty
the,
dark.
The
Yeah.
illustrations are gorgeous. It's got that really heavy hand, like Marvel Max.
What book was
flavor.
that in?
I think it was called X-23. I'll look it up. It was early in her career.
So I have a
Chat
pretty,
room, if you know, hook us up.
I have a very unique.
NYX. It was called NYX.
Okay.
NYX straight up.
On Logan, this is one of the
makeup
one of the coolest things I got to do for my other job, which is the FX movie download thing. I get to do some pre-press interviews sometimes with the Fox Studios, right? 20th Century Fox. So I got to go to the press screening for Logan in New York, and then I got to sit down with James Mangold, Boyd Holbrook, Patrick Stewart, and Hugh Jackman and do a little interview. And like, I saw the movie before I talked to them, and I was like, I knew it was going to be good, and it was like, it was the third movie. None of us liked the first one. The second one was like better. Like the beginning of the second one is no perfect, and some of the stuff in Japan I love. I love
Third
the
act, it
looks.
was like
Garbage. Garbage, just like garbage for garbage sake. It was as bad as Wolverine Origins again, which is why it's so Mangold comes back on from the beginning of this film. Hugh Jackman has the clout to say, this is going to be my last one. We have to do it this way. Deadpool allows it to happen, clears the path, said there's money to be made here, and they make this. And this is the other side to Fox being all over the place with continuity, is that you could do these
one-off.
kind of film.
and you don't have to ground anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they were, what they were, what film counts, or because it's off in the future
Just
and
like
it's off to the
comics,
side.
like annuals and one-offs
Yes,
and
comics
miniseries.
are always doing this to us.
It's true.
But when Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman are relating and about the past and when I found you, and that was very much Bryan Singer's X-Men 1, X-Men, it matters to us. The plot of the film is stupid. The ending is ridiculous. The fact that he fights his younger self, I wish there was some better way, but villains suck. But the relationship of Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman and Wolverine himself and the violence and the look of the film make it my
fight
favorite probably
choreography.
comic book film of the year, I would say.
For me, the fight choreography meets the brutality they trusted the character to have. The fact that
girl
Logan,
when the girl comes out with the head.
Jeez. And Logan,
What?
Logan talked, acted, and moved like Logan because Hugh Jackman's always been able to play Wolverine, and I feel like with this R-rated, he was able to play Logan. I feel like we got James Howlett all the way, and I also feel like this was the movie that sets the new bar for what R-rated movies can be. As much as I love Deadpool, we now have a comedy R and we have a violent are, and that's what movies can be if they trust us.
And I actually like the dichotomy. Dichotomy. I have no words. I like the dichotomy of having the cloned younger Wolverine come in.
Inner self.
Oh God, yes. I mean, talk about having like the id just burst out of the screen and like hit you in the face and like and kill your mentor at the same time.
No, I mean, listen, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but
I'm saying what I like.
You said it was your favorite comic book movie of the year.
No, it was, and the Ernie Hudson, like all that. I mean, like the family thing. Like there are so many great scenes. No, what I'm just saying is like. Yes, I see, you could come out in both ways. It's kind of like a wash. I see both points of view on him fighting himself.
All about child mutants, too. Like, I love the idea of this army, and I love any time it's not the adults. You see the affliction really in the children. And that's where it's like, wow, imagine if that was your actual life. Would it really even be cool?
It's an impossible life.
I really like that it trusted itself to be a movie, not a comic movie. It was a movie first, comic movie second. And I also, like, you can watch this movie in black and white. The black and white cut's gorgeous. There's not another comic movie I can think of where you're like, that's a classic film. Like, you can't, like, dive back into it in the same way.
Do you think Patrick Stewart will get any nominations? He didn't get a Globe, right? Or did he?
I hope so.
Did Logan get anything?
No.
Did he get nothing?
Yes, that's not a good sign. But
so what?
Not really. It's not a sign of anything.
It really is.
The Globes this year, and
they just. They missed the ball. They missed the ball on this, like big time.
I thought Patrick Stewart was just amazing.
He was.
I mean, it was my favorite thing.
Now, speaking of crying, I personally cried in both Logan and Guardians Volume 2. When we lost, spoilers from 6 months ago, Yondu, that was such a powerful moment I didn't expect to feel so strongly about.
He died in Star-Lord's arms.
In space, and like it was the most cosmic death. It felt like the cover of a comic, and like we had the Mary Poppins y'all line, which is now pop culture lexicon. Like,
it's cosplay now.
Like it's a lot, and the movie had I think people expected something because of Guardians 1, so people don't talk about it as much because Guardians 1 rewrote what Marvel is. Like Thor Ragnarok exists because of Guardians 1.
But that's not fair because everybody's forgetting about Guardians 2 or not talking about it, and it's like this movie was amazing. It was
an amazing movie.
I thought it was just as good as Guardians 1, and I know that's not popular opinion either. But
it's in my top 7 Marvel movies. In my top half.
I love it. I love this film, and for people to be like, but it's not Guardians 1. Well,
that's
factually,
correct.
That is true.
That's
that is
the end
true.
of the movie.
Yeah. However, it is really good. Now, did it reinvent the wheel the way that Guardians 1 did? No, because Guardians 1 had already done that. Yes. Yeah. But I thought it was so strong and funny and poignant. I'm all in on this.
It started so well when you have like baby Groot and then everything's happening in the background.
Baby Groot makes me tear up just like
I think this is a movie that will age well because we're talking about it's Ghost of Christmas Past, but it's this year. And I think that like I got it on Blu-ray, but my initial reaction was I didn't love it as much either. And then I rewatch it. It gets better every time I rewatch it. And I think it's just going to age great. I think you're absolutely right about like it created its new thing. And it's like, oh, here's another episode in a great show that you love.
Yeah.
It's not a whole new thing. And like it's going to be like that with Deadpool too, 100%. Right? Not to get into the future because that's a different ghost.
And I know this is a personal thing, but as somebody with a sister, I love sister stuff.
Yep.
So I always love watching that. And I thought it was really cool.
And I like that he played with mirroring old movies like with the North by Northwest with that scene. Yes. I love that he played with tropes in movies. I love that it felt like it was already so weird that we dove into the emotionality of these characters while in space. Like this was a cosmic space opera again, and we're still just as invested that we cry when Yondu dies.
How did you feel about Mantis?
I love Mantz. Yeah. I know a lot of people said it wasn't true to have the actual characters, but I don't have a strong connection. I know I've seen Mantz in comics, but I thought a lot of times with this MCU, they've made characters better than I've liked them in the comics.
Right? Corgan Meeks. We're getting there.
I like Captain America more in the films than I did in the books. I love Chris Evans' Captain America more than I've read Captain America. I don't
think that's wrong necessarily. Punisher by far.
Yeah, 100%.
But also in the Infinity War trailer.
We'll get there.
When I saw Mantis in the Infinity War trailer, that told me how I felt about her, and I liked her. I was really happy to see her there, and I thought she was funny, and like I love that the things she's doing.
And unique.
Yeah, it's like you feel a deep romantic love for her.
Yes.
And it was a James Gunn movie. It was a James Gunn movie through and through. So I like that it showed that Marvel trusted a director to go full crazy. And then we learned that with a Christmas Present movie as well. But I really appreciated that James Gunn was able to put like his friends in it, like Jimmy Yearn from Mindless Self-Indulgence in that movie's a lead. And I love that the weird music stayed. And it didn't feel like they did well in the first one, so the studio got involved. They let him make another weird, crazy movie that we loved. So
it feels like he has the most romantic relationship with Kevin Feige, James Gunn does, because James Gunn is this wonderfully outspoken, awesome guy on Twitter. Like he talks a lot. and he's amazing. And I think he's got the trust. It's just interesting to see how, like, some, like Edgar Wright maybe didn't want to be part of the system.
Yeah.
It's a system that Kevin Feige's a part of. The Russo brothers said, like, we can do it because of this guy. Like, not everybody can play in that team. Joss Whedon didn't want to play in that system.
Yeah.
But it's a system that really works for these directors that were just very creative, and he's just like, hey, what if I'm gonna just give you all this backing and everything? We're gonna make these really weird films, but they're still gonna hit these marks. And it's such a unique relationship that goes on between Kevin Feige and his directors.
And everyone. And speaking of the system and it working, Spider-Man has joined the system. Now, this year is our first Marvel-produced or co-produced Spider-Man film. We finally have Spider-Man in the Avengers. We finally have Spider-Man in that universe. And it was in a way that was actually young. This wasn't a 25-year-old looking guy playing a high school kid. This was a kid playing a kid. And I think it was one of our most authentic portrayals of an iconic character. I think Spider-Man is hard to get right because everyone has a Spider-Man. Like, he's my favorite guy next to Deadpool. I know what I think of when I see Spider-Man. Tom Holland was that for me.
It's hard for me because I never feel like they've gotten it wrong. Ever.
Right.
Like, which is wild because
I think that's
love
pretty
Amazing
positive.
Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man
I
2
like that.
apologist here, Roxy Striar.
I'm an Amazing 1
100%.
apologist.
So I've never watched a Spider-Man film and been like, butchered that. I love, anytime I see him, he's just so fun and cool.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
Awesome.
doing? You're a nerdy little, I just love him. So I felt like this was another excellent Spider-Man movie.
I love that point of view.
Yeah.
I think because I try to stay very positive, like with my Marvel, but I'm also a Rabbit fan. So I've had some things to say with like past Spider-Man, like Spider-Man. What was it? Spider-Man 3 with the whole dance sequence.
We don't
thing.
talk about Venom.
Well, no, yeah,
That
or
Venom.
that particular
I
Venom.
do.
But I
I
love
love
the
that.
Spider-Man
That
where
makes
it's
me
like,
so
hey,
happy you enjoyed that.
yeah, it's like, hey, Spider-Man, this Spider-Man, two great tastes great together. you know.
You know, even Spider-Man 3, I'll defend that Sandman sequence
Sandman
is
arc
one of
is
the
incredible.
greatest sequences I've ever seen.
I'll
Sandman
defend
is
a third of Spider-Man
Thank
3,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll defend an entire arc of Spider-Man 3. But for me, Spider-Man is the most underdog. He's the guy that every kid identifies with, right? Like, you're like, Spider-Man's my guy. And a lot of people get so defensive because of that. I think the reason we're able to have 3 very different Spider-Man is because everyone sees a bit of themselves in each of them, and every one of them is a piece of themselves and a piece of Spider-Man. Like, Tobey Maguire was very much the squirrely Back to the Future nerd. Andrew Garfield was like a little more punk and a little more like jokester. They had comedy right him. And Tom Holland, to me, is the everyday New York kid that just is trying to get by, but he's also hilarious. I think
What's also great about that, the one they're doing now, is like they're putting it in the now. They're making it of the ethos of now. Like, again, that's what's so great about Feige and his team. He's like, all right, but what would it be like now? Like, we can't just do it in the 60s. And like, Raimi's films had that flavor, that out of time, in the same way that like Elfman's first Batman film felt out of a time. You know? But this one feels in this world, in this MCU, and there's things like, with great power comes great responsibility, was never uttered in this film, but it was said between them in Civil War without
and we
saying
know it. We know it.
So
And how excellent is it that Civil War, we had like this little bit of Spider-Man, and that then sparked this trilogy.
Crazy
It had this
times.
little bit of
Yeah,
Black
amazing
Panther.
times.
I think that you guys did what I really was hoping that Flash would be for us, but didn't end up being, in my opinion. And I know we're not talking about Justice League yet, but I have my qualms with the Barry Allen character in the film.
Yeah.
I wish that we had our Peter Parker. I wish we had our Spidey to the Justice League like you guys have to
We
the
have our
Avengers,
Avenger,
because
yeah.
he's such a different component and it's so necessary and fresh, and I want that for the DC also, even if we had to copy it, even if we had to be like, yeah,
What if we got a
taking
Tom Holland
that.
kind of guy?
Yeah, like literally, I wouldn't even mind that, because I think that smart people borrow ideas that work, because
That's how you build, and then you can branch off after. You get a foundation, you move through.
That's what I do.
I think what they did with the
happy
Vulture,
with it.
I'm smart, right?
The Vulture built off of Green Goblin. Like, they did a great job making the Vulture a Green Goblin parallel without reusing a Goblin for the third franchise. We've had Goblins all of them. The scene with them in the car and the scene with him, like, when they're in the
right
car
here.
and he reveals
It's
himself to
amazing.
be.
Oh my God.
That is Michael Keaton and Tom Holland just acting their eyeballs out, and you see an entire comic arc play in a car.
I really enjoyed that moment, because talk about peak awkwardness for being a teenage superhero. Where it's
Yeah.
like, this is your villain, but this is also your date's dad, and all of that unfolds.
And Keaton wearing the jacket in that warehouse across the room, overpowering a teenage boy by talking at him, like in the, and the wide shot where he's like waiting for the Vulture or Goblin thing to come around. That was peak Spider-Man.
I kind of rooted for him at some point.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah,
You
I was
got
like,
it.
I was like, yeah, man. I dig what you're doing.
That prologue scene was so good. I love my favorite Michael Keaton line of the whole film was like in the opening scene when he's like, "What'd you say to me?" It was just like, oh, it's there. I see where this guy Keaton, doesn't matter who he is. Like, I could see that it was like, but at the same time, it was classic Keaton, which we haven't seen since his resurgence. And it was like, I got that this guy would just be set off by the wrong person.
It was also, and the last bit I want to touch on, is probably the best world building we've had as far as multiple villains and storylines going from there, because we had two Shockers, we had a Vulture, we've got Prowler set up, we've got Miles Morales set up, we've got so much future building, we got Liz Allen, we've got the idea of MJ, we've got Gwen Stacy coming in the next one. There's so much.
The idea of MJ, I don't know if I'm giving you
Which way
that
they're
one.
going.
The other ones, I'll give you that.
But the idea that they put in that many villains and that many characters and it never felt like Tony Ravioli has a brand new Flash. Like, that is insane to put in one movie, and we did it right. So I think world building, Spider-Man gets my world building stamp. So DC TV, Christmas past. DC runs the TV game. I want to give full credit to DC.
We have for a while. That's been our battle.
Yes.
You
I
working
want
so
to-
hard
Like,
at it.
I want to
I
say.
love these shows. Oh my god!
You know, we do a
I'm
show
all about
called
it.
DC Movie News,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
was born the same week as your show. But
This is my theme song.
one of our most popular segments is just a TV segment because
Roxy
thanks to
TV
Roxy
time.
Show's TV time.
I am obsessed. I'm so glad that he included you guys in the theme song. That now you're part of it, the official theme. For
Adam's
that.
cooking so divine.
It
It's
is so
really
divine.
touching.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's good.
What happens with Johnny? The girls think he's fine.
Yeah.
Also, Johnny and Mike wanted to be here. They both have separate obligations. They both say hi. They're not excluded on purpose. Hi to Mike and Johnny. They are loved.
Yes, and as you know, I do a show with
the live
Johnny.
chat
so
got
it's
very
like,
like
Oh, you do?
concerned
What show
they
do you
were-
do?
yeah, I do a WWE Raw after show with Johnny.
wow.
Like for like the last year and a half, or give or take every Monday.
Live chat.
Wrestling.
We're not saying that Marvel shows aren't catching up. We're saying that in the past, we're still on Christmas past.
We're in
And-
Christmas
and
past,
yeah.
guys.
Historically, DC has been doing great with TV. I want to give them credit. So
Okay, so for those that are just joining us now, we have this show like cut up into different segments, and right now we're talking about Ghosts of Christmas Past
'Cause
So
it's
it
a
speaks to
Christmas stories.
That's earlier this year of things, and then we're going to be talking about present, and then we're going to be talking about future. So we are covering more.
it's all the haters out there were humbugging. So I want to first start with Preacher, which is one of my favorite shows of the year.
Yeah.
It's such a good translation or adaptation from the comic book.
James
I've done the
Gilgun.
comic book, and Ruth Negga. Oh my God!
Amazing, yeah.
That's why she's Oscar nominated,
Yep.
my friend.
Oscar
Yep.
nominated Ruth Negga.
Yeah.
Oh, but
for
like
loving
Preacher,
that
knocks
show
it out of
is
the park.
great. I agree that it's a perfect adaptation because it does not strictly follow the comics, but also it has all of my favorite moments so far. They threw me off season 1 with where they started, and I was like, where are we
was a
going with
weird-
this? I still was in mostly because of Cassidy. Just love
Same.
Oh.
James Gilgun
Yeah.
is the show for
Alright.
Oh,
me.
I was
I'm
in
in.
for Tulip. I
I loved
hardcore
her too,
Tulip.
but Cassidy, I was just like, okay, I'll keep watching because
Yeah.
what's he doing?
Every scene he's in, I'm like, what is that guy
The Dennis
doing?
thing wasn't from the comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's just like Spider-Man: Homecoming, like making this classic story like in the now.
But the road trip and the going home and the coffin and all that stuff, like all those moments that we need. Those
And
are all
setting
from
it in New
that.
Mexico, modern but feeling like an old Western, is amazing.
Yes.
Yes.
And season 2 knocked season 1 out of the water park.
Park knocked it.
Oh, out of the
knocked
water
it out
park?
of the
Yeah.
Out
like
of the,
it.
Is it the water or the park?
Well,
No,
they're in
that's
the
the
bayou.
ones
They're
out
in
of
New
the park.
Orleans,
It's the
so
baseball
Knocked it out of the
term.
bayou.
No, because it knocked that out of it didn't go out of the park. It knocked season 1 out of the running.
The New Mexico.
It was better than season 1.
Don't get bogged down in your metaphor, Roxy.
it's
I hear
okay.
what you're
We're all
saying.
good. And
They
we
stepped
agree.
up their game in
There it
season
is.
2. They got crazy. And when you're considering
Yep.
the best comic book villains of 2017 across all media, I would like to submit Hair Star as one of the best
So good.
translations.
Absolutely.
For the win.
And my
So
girlfriend
good.
just pointed out that that dude was in Force Awakens when we were seeing the double feature the other day. She's like, oh, the guy from Preacher. I'm like, oh, good eye.
Great eye.
Go, girl.
Yeah.
You must have
Nice.
felt so
I
proud
totally
of that
missed
I
moment.
think he's First Order, I want to say. But yeah, it was that was amazing.
Yeah, no, Preacher is just like it's everything that I wanted it to be, and then things that I didn't realize that I needed for it to be. And like with season 2, it definitely brings up when you have like this basically unstoppable bad guy that he does stop, but has to do it through such a sacrifice. I'm not giving anyone even 1% of my soul. That's not happening. I don't care who I'm.
No percentage. You get none
no
of my soul.
percentage. None.
Take my
great. And
fingernails.
that was also not from the comics, I believe, right?
No,
No,
that
They
was.
trusted them to go and make this world
Yeah.
exist.
It's so crazy.
Where you have like this world and then you couple it together with this science and this mystical side. And I was just like, I am here for this. Preacher, thank you for that.
And a show that we'll talk about in the future, Runaways, I think is doing that really well as well. While we're on the subject of varying, it keeps you excited even if you know the book. And that's what I think he's doing really well.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. So
Because
that
if
the
you're
fans
in
don't.
it-
It's again to kind of like touch on when everybody is so butthurt about like Last Jedi. It's like everybody has an expectation, but if you got your expectation, you can't be satisfied with
While
that.
we're briefly
I'm
on Star
sorry.
Wars,
That's not how stories work.
The theme of the movie being the problem everyone has is the most brilliant meta thing I've ever lived
Yeah.
through. The fact that it's about killing your heroes because they're overhyped and everyone is trying to kill that movie
Yeah.
because they're like, that is beautiful.
And that's not saying anything about spoilers
No,
or anything
no,
like
no.
that. In the title, it says The Last Jedi. So then that
Zero
says...
spoilers, but I'm just
I
saying
love
that
that film. I don't care
I
what
love
anybody
it.
says.
I
Thank
love that
you.
film.
Suck it.
I
It's-
don't know how I feel about porgs, though. I'm still on the
It's-
fence
Oh my
with
God, are we
porgs.
all pro Last Jedi
Yes.
people?
I love
Yes!
porgs. I love porgs.
My
I love the
favorite
way
scene
they
from
move.
Empire.
I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to hug them or strangle them.
We
kinda
just lost
wanted
half the
them
chat
to
room, just so you know.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm on the fence about
It's
porgs.
technically a Marvel property,
It is.
right? Marvel
Disney.
makes the comics. We
Feel-
make the
feel-
connection.
Yeah, feel free to convince me
mad.
about porgs.
So we are going to move on to iZombie,
Adam.
which was another Christmas cast.
This is the most underrated show on television.
I know.
It's excellent.
One of these days, if Adam cares about me enough, he will jump on.
I've never seen an episode.
It's devastating.
excellent. It is so
It's
good.
so good. And the thing is, because it's on CW and the rest of our DC TV shows, or a lot of them are on CW, people are like, I don't know if it's got that like high school feel to it. It's so good. And it doesn't have that kind of feel.
It really doesn't.
Rose McIver's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
the show is just, you never know what you're gonna get. Every time I'm like, oh, yep, I have that figured out, and it's fun and it's just light, and I can watch it any time of day.
Yeah, and it's got that nice balance of dark and comedy that goes with it. And like the characters themselves, they can just stand there and you get where they are coming from. And I forget his name right now, but the mortician, not the mortician.
David
yeah.
Anders,
But his like character name.
Blaine. Who are you talking about?
The Indian British guy.
Oh, Ravi.
Ravi.
So good.
I'm here for some Ravi. Oh my God, he's just going through his own whole arc of things, and I'm here for that. And
Also,
I love
not
the
hard to look at.
yeah, not at all. And the
Can I-
socio-political
How
ramifications
do you,
of having zombies in
can
a
I ask
modern
you-
day world. Oh my God.
I've never seen the show, so like, how does it compare to the tone of the other like DC property CW shows? Like, tonally,
It's
is
more
it
adult.
like okay?
It's more adult. I feel like it's more relatable for me. Like, I don't feel like it's something that I would watch with, a teenage sister. I don't even have a sister. With like,
But if you
somebody
had one, you
sticking
can
up-
imagine.
Yeah. Well, then it's like those CW shows, sure. And I feel like I could do that with iZombie, but I feel like it's a show for me. Like, I can watch that with my friends, like
think-
my of-age friends, and we have fun with that.
It doesn't take itself that seriously, so in that way it's like Flash, but it is mature like Arrow, but not like we're dark and gritty and brooding like
It's
Arrow.
it's not campy, except for when it's perfect for it to be
So good.
campy.
Now-
I mean,
show.
the very fact that you could be a zombie and eat somebody's brains, and then you take on their personality, their traits, and then also flashbacks of their memories, that's smart.
I was
It's a
thinking about
great
this.
setup for procedural. I mean, that really sets you up to like in a quantum leapy kind of way.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we know what the formula can be, and I can see how it gives writers a lot of opportunities to make good stuff.
Now we need to jump into Marvel TV because we've been half an hour on the past, and we
Okay.
have
Oh,
Moon Grove now. Before
Thank
we
you
do
for
that,
keeping us on
I'm,
task.
I'm Garden. Now I also would like to thank the live chat for giving us some thumbs up because we got 2 sudden thumbs down. We talked about Last Jedi, which I find very funny. I wanted to point out that.
but
that
some
actually
people,
happened.
I did see some people saying that they liked it and some that
I
they
thought
didn't.
that's so funny. So Marvel TV, we had in the past Legion, Iron Fist, Defenders, and Inhumans. Now,
And Shield.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Shield
wait, wait,
is-
wait.
That
Run
makes
that down
you
again?
50-50.
I totally agree. We had Legion,
Yay!
Iron Fist,
Uh-huh.
Defenders,
Uh-huh.
Inhumans.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was a wash.
It's a roller coaster.
I
Did
really.
we come out even?
We made TV.
All right.
We made some TV.
I am actually another defender that I am. Oh wow!
Defender
Irony
of
here
defenders?
is Iron Fist. I am an Iron Fist fan. There, I said it. I can't take it back. It's out there.
I like it more
why,
than most.
Why are you an Iron Fist fan? Share with us.
Okay, other than the fact that he's clearly not right for the role, which
Which is so great when you find a
you
lead.
love
Like
your
that's what they looked for in
characters.
Charlie Cox and Daredevil. They were like, who could be the worst guy to bring Daredevil to
Room
life?
for Best Picture.
So,
Room for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's actually really fun. So Finn Jones could use some work on his martial arts. That's lacking for sure. But I actually think the rest of it's pretty cool. So if you can just get it through your head, like he's not going to get better at what he's doing for this show, then you kind of start to enjoy it.
I watched
love
it
your
faster.
point of view.
I watched it much faster than some other shows. I definitely watched it like in a few settings where some other shows I've definitely had to stop and take a breather. I liked a lot of it, but I couldn't ever accept the fact that like the guy that was supposed to be the best fighter felt like he was handicapped fighting anyone else.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Every single other person, like there was a kid walking across the street, I'm like that kid could beat up Finn.
And his girlfriend also in The Force Awakens.
And she was incredible.
She was really good.
And she's great in the show too.
I thought the Daughters of the Dragon was one of the best parts of the show.
Yeah.
I thought the world building was great. I love Luke and Finn. Luke and Iron Fist. I love the Heroes for Hire moments.
Talking
I
Defenders.
really
But also Luke and Finn.
And Defenders
Right,
you're talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, you're talking about Defenders.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
I leapt
yeah.
ahead because I'm tying to Iron Fist.
Sure.
But
Okay.
I really think that Iron Fist set up a lot of good ideas that'll be executed well in season 2. I don't hate it nearly as much as people do. I give it like a 6 out of 10.
I will say this. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm not an Iron Fist fan. I'm a Iron Fist fan when it comes
Not
to
alone.
comics. Yeah, but the thing of it is that I do believe in being able to find things no matter what the property is that just like you respond or relate to. I really enjoy the episode. I believe it's episode 6. It's the tournament episode where they have
Yes.
Bride of Nine
Oh, yeah.
Spiders and they bring back some old villains to go up against Iron Fist. I feel like that's done really well.
That
I
is a
believe
good
RZA
episode.
is the one that directs that. But in particular, my favorite 10 minutes of Iron Fist is episode 8. I think it's something
bet
with
you're gonna say the same
Shattered
thing.
Feelings.
I can't-
It is Louis Tan as and he's Zhao Sheng, and it's the Drunken Master fight.
Oh, right. The
I feel-
Drunken Master fight was awesome.
Isn't
yeah.
that
Fun,
so?
actually.
Well, I love that they
good?
referenced my
Balanced.
favorite martial arts movie
In
of all
general,
time.
yeah.
You know, the first one actually.
But before we
Yeah.
move on from Iron Fist, because we have a lot to cover, Iron Fist also, I think Finn Jones was only given like 12 hours per fight scene to train, and that's
I
not
know.
his fault. So I'm gonna, Finn, since you're watching, we
Not his
understand.
fault
I've
with the
seen you in
producers.
other
I think
things and
Scott
you're good.
Buck has
I
proved that
think
he
season
needs.
2 is going to be much better because
Scott
now
Buck
he
has
is,
earned him place an evacuation from the Marvel Universe,
Oh,
right? Like
absolutely.
he's 0 for 2. You're out of here. I will say this: my favorite moment of Iron Fist was that 30 seconds when they showed him in the costume in Iron Fist 38, was it, or Iron Fist 43 when like they showed him black and white on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
And he was in the costume and messing fools up.
yeah.
By far the best part of the entire series.
And
for me.
that's
I was
what season 2 can
Where
be."
is that? Yes, hopefully Finn
think so.
Jones has been just training his ass off for months.
I don't think so.
No, come on.
When I talk
Defender of shows like, nah.
I love your point of view.
at
So
Comicas
great.
this year, he was the happiest guy in the room. He does not hear us. He
Oh,
does
yeah,
not hear
He's
what we
training
are
his ass
saying.
off.
He's watching right now.
He is like,
We love you, Finn Jones.
whatever. I am laughing straight to the bank, and he is loving it. So,
So,
good for him.
good television. Legion is my biggest surprise of the year. I'm giving out awards at random.
Oh my God, Aubrey
Legion's,
Plaza in Legion.
Legion's in-camera editing, the likes of Kubrick, was so beautiful to watch, so jarring, and the mental escapades we went through as an audience joining his mental escapades, I didn't think we'd get there with TV. I didn't think we could do that with long
So
form.
bold to make a show that like the first episode is challenging to get through because you're not. So many shows have to do the thing like on a network. You have to let you know what the show is in the first 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
it could be so jarring. And this show is like out to lunch, and I fell for it. I thought Aubrey Plaza was wasted.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
they wasted her. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I fell for it. Like, yeah, amazing.
So,
It was phenomenal. I agree, Adam, that for the first episode, and not just the first episode, but maybe the first 3, I was like, is this show for me?
yeah, challenging.
I'm gonna do it because I don't give up on things. Not people, not shows, nothing.
Not Finn Jones!
Not you at home. I give up on no one. But I was like, oh, am I gonna enjoy it? I don't know. But then it just, boom,
It
and
gets
I was
you.
like, oh,
You
thank
don't even
goodness.
realize
Yes.
it's hooks in you from the very beginning when
Exactly.
you're like, wait, was that imaginary or was that real? And that where there was the giant number and then there was the different words saying hello in the greeting room. That's weird.
Yeah.
No greeting rooms would have that. And then you see that scene again, like in a different time, and it's like, wait, that wasn't there before.
And what they did in real time, like the effects in real time, showed what an X-Men movie could be. And that was really interesting to be like, oh, a TV budget did X-Men better than we've had at X-Men. And it also showed me like what Fox TV could become. And I was really impressed with Fox letting them
You're
make that
absolutely right about that. It was the most X-Men I felt like. When I was collecting comics, I always felt like the Chris Claremont books were like my smart books. I kept them off to the side. Like, it was always very complicated.
Super brainy.
And yeah, it was like that, but even more so. Like, it was really, really challenging.
So I feel like we'll go through the good fairly quickly. We also need to talk about Defenders, which I think, the reason I think Iron Fist Season 2 might be better is I definitely think Finn Jones as Iron Fist was much better in Defenders. My favorite thing about Defenders, before we dive in, was the fact that it used not only visual color cues to play like the comics did, like when characters were introduced, you had your yellow, you had your blue, you had your red, but also they used music cues for Luke Cage. So every single show felt like it was represented tonally, but it all meshed together like this great, it was like now that's what I call Marvel. It was like this greatest hits Netflix show, and I loved it.
I had all the way till 14. Now that's what I call music 14. Yeah, I really stuck with that for a long time.
They're on like 100 now. We're old.
And then I stopped. It was, again, first 3 episodes, I was like, And then the end of episode 3, and then I was like, whoop, and now we're a team.
Yep.
Because what people forget going into this is that we were not together.
No.
So we had to figure out how the F to get them all together.
And I love that it didn't do it in the pilot. I love that it didn't dive in right away. It was slow burn like a comic book. It's serialized.
That's hallmark of the Netflix shows, is that they just take their time before you get the thing. Like, you don't get to see Frank Castle in the Punisher shirt in the first episode, like any of that stuff. They make you work for every moment.
But it's because they know that you can watch the next episode right there if you're on the fence. If they were week by week, people would have fallen off of Defenders after episode 2.
It's built for binging. It's so specifically built for binging.
It's not 8 episodes, it's an 8-hour movie. And I'm okay with that.
It's so strong.
Something with Defenders that I particularly enjoy, just to jump on this bandwagon with things, is how it's these separate stories coming together and actually, like he was saying, meshing really well to the point where you have Luke Cage and Iron Fist starting their bromance. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to watch Iron Fist Season 2, despite the fact that I wasn't really on board with the first one. And because Luke Cage, and because we have Daughters of the Dragon, and because we have Misty Knight, and she lost the hand.
She's awesome, and she lost her hand. In Defenders, right? So that was cool.
In Defenders.
Because she makes it through Luke Cage, which I thought was cool. But I agree with you. I've never liked Finn Jones as much as when I've seen him with Mike Coulter in those scenes, and that's all that matters.
I love that they were just
that's all we're trying to get to anyway. So, honestly, Netflix has given me enough good stuff that I'm with you. I didn't like Iron Fist, but I'm willing to give him a pass. Like, it was one that sucked. Okay. 2 seasons of great Daredevil, amazing Jessica Jones, mostly great Luke Cage. Punisher was sick and different. Their track record is awesome. Not everyone can be like perfect, you know?
And I think that it set us up for more world building, and I think Daredevil Season 3 will be better for it because we're going to get a great Frank Miller storyline. And I also think we need to discuss another follow.
Yeah. But really quick though, I mean, if we're thinking about it, I like the way that you laid that out, because if you think about it, Marvel Netflix was like a person. That's marriage material, because there's
definitely.
I'm married Marvel Netflix.
There's like this much that's not good.
So they leave the toilet seat up. I don't care. They also cook like a great mignonette. I mean, I don't know.
At least a long-term hookup. Like, not a hit it and quit it kind of thing.
You move in with Marvel Netflix. You see how it works out. They might put the toilet paper roll upside down like a fool.
You might be wrong for each other, but they're definitely marriage material.
They've met Mom. They've met Mom for sure.
Fox Marvel, I might like couple of times I'd be in and out, I'd be hot, and then I'd see him a couple of years later, I'd be like, all right, it was good between us.
Now, someone I wouldn't bring home to Mom was Inhumans. I wouldn't bring a single Inhuman home to Mom.
That I would not even tell my friends about if something happened there.
This was a show we only can briefly talk about because we're 45 minutes in and still in the past, but Inhumans shaved Medusa's head with regular clippers and Karnak tripped over a rock. The first time we've been quiet this whole 45 minutes was Inhumans.
Between Gifted and Inhumans, I was like, you guys, don't do this to me.
Yep.
Don't do this to me.
Did any of you go to IMAX?
No.
I spent money and I saw an IMAX, and honestly, I was pretty positive about it when I walked out at first because I loved some of the Black Bolt scenes, like that one scene where he like gasps, and like I really liked his performance, and I really liked the sign language stuff, but then it didn't take long for that to all leave, and I realized, hey, to do that to Medusa, it was just like, why do it just because you can? It was foolish of them to try to do it. Yeah.
My number one criticism of this particular Marvel property was the fact that with Inhumans, this is a time where you go full Jack Kirby, and for the very fact that we're post Doctor Strange and everything else, where it's like you can go full butt Kirby,
Wasn't that
it's
this year?
just.
No,
Doctor Strange,
it
that
was
was last
November
year.
last year.
And the
What
thing
year
of it
am I
is
in?
that instead of 2017, and instead of them embracing that, they instead embraced a budget and put that ahead of the property. And so when you have that kind of mentality, then with those actual inhuman characters, their powers and their gifts, like Medusa's hair, like Karnak's ability to be able to see fault in everything, that becomes a hurdle. That becomes a hindrance. And then it seemed like they spent the entire time just trying to get rid of that. And it's like, no, that's what makes them inhumans. They went through Terrigenesis. This is part of the reason why they are a cog within this giant community. You're taking away their purpose when you do that. So that's why you don't have a story.
Do you think they're going to keep these characters in the current Marvel universe? Like, will we see that Crystal again, or that Karnak, or any of that?
I kind of doubt it, but I mean, some people did like
On
it.
S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe?
Yeah, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe they
This
belong
is just
to-
my own personal opinion with it. Other people obviously like it, responded to them. And when it ultimately comes down to it, have your nerd out. Have your nerd.
Enjoy what you enjoy. That's the point of this holiday special. Speaking of, we are now on to the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Oh, wow!
Hey, a new ghost has visited us, and that features. Now we're gonna switch to Marvel first. We did DC
Goodbye,
first last
Jacob
time.
Marley.
Goodbye, past. Hello, present.
Oh,
The
get rid of
present.
those chains.
So we did DC first last time. We're doing Marvel first this time. The Marvel movie that we're gonna speak of first will be Thor Ragnarok.
Because it just happened in November, because it's present.
Yeah, that's present. It's still in some theaters. So
There you go.
Thor Ragnarok is a Kirby Simonson extravaganza. Thor was insane. Thor trusted the audiences to enjoy. It made a lot of money because they know they can make something weird, and I think that it really deserves a stake in the comic climate.
They
What do you guys think?
embraced it. It was a 70s music video, and I was here for it.
It made Jeff Goldblum seem normal.
It was very apparent from the first 30 seconds of this film what it was going to be, and it lived up to its promise, and it was awesome. I had seen the first two Thors when they came out, obviously, but I decided to watch them again to give them another shot because I remembered them the opposite of fondly. What would that be? Not fondly?
She gives everyone a chance. She
well,
watches
the
Thor.
second one.
Yeah, so the
it
first one
happens.
I was like, all right, it's just bland, but I'm in. The second one I was like, okay, it's bland and I'm not in. And the third one I was like, going in, all right, do I even care? And I went and I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, you had to do this, otherwise I gave no Fs. And so this made me actually think that something was fun.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it so much. I was not expecting to. I would watch this movie. This is another rewatchable.
Oh, 100%.
Why not? And even if you
Absolutely.
haven't seen the first two, I would watch this film. Even if you haven't seen a Marvel film in general.
It's so good separate of everything, and it also had world building that works later, but it doesn't have to. Like, there was, we got to see pieces of Marvel that you wouldn't see anywhere else, and now they can use that or not. They mentioned Throg. No other movie could
Frog,
talk
yeah.
about, no other movie could throw that in casually like this did, and it made it work.
But then we also lost a huge character going into this movie, and I didn't care that she was gone. So she.
Well, she didn't die. She
No,
just
no,
wasn't
no,
there.
she
I'm not
just-
saying
her-
lost. I'm saying that we
No,
didn't
her,
have
her
Natalie.
schedule didn't work.
But I was
That
so-
means that she
Are you talking
didn't
about
die.
Sif or
no,
Jane
no,
Foster?
yeah,
Jamie, Jamie,
Nat Portman.
Jamie Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's funny.
Because no, that
Okay.
was crazy because they didn't even mention. Like mine
Yeah.
at least got a mention, but she was so weak in the first two films that it was so unnecessary, and they just were like, yeah, it didn't work out.
There was one line of dialogue, and they also gave more Loki dialogue to make up for it, and that
was
romance
epic.
was amazing. And Doctor Strange's cameo felt so natural.
Yeah.
That was one of the moments I was like, oh, Marvel's really built a separate thing, because look how casually Doctor Strange is in this, in a separate movie with the gloves, and you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I love this movie so much. Much like to parallel Wolverine in the same year, where like the third in the trilogy by far and away goes in a different direction, and yet the consistency of the character played by the actor doesn't feel weird, even though it's totally different tonally in totally different ways than Logan and Thor Ragnarok. But also to make major shifts in the continuity and the canon, major things happen to characters. My favorite character in all of comicdom, the glorious, incredible Hulk, makes a wonderful appearance. And, you know, at first I was like, all right, would he talk like that? I don't know. I don't feel. And then upon subsequent viewings, I love it. I love the Hulk. Hulk and Batman are my two favorite characters in fiction, you know?
Yeah.
They're just, you
I
know.
didn't know that about Hulk.
Yeah. I have more comics, like consistent runs of Batman and Hulk than anything else by a good margin.
And this was our Hulk that we couldn't have introduced somewhere else. You couldn't have Hulk randomly start talking.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying about like Taika Waititi's vision is you can start these things in this weird movie, bring him into
when
Avengers,
he's in the
and it can
freaking hot
totally
tub,
work.
man, that hot tub scene.
With the ultimate Hulk necklace. He literally is wearing stuff out of the comics, and it works.
And Valkyrie,
Yeah, Valkyrie
doing her
is
thing, like
totally
totally. We've
crazy.
never seen a Valkyrie that works a robot ship, but that was better. Again,
so
again,
cool
example
when it's
was that was a better Valkyrie than I ever thought or thought you
And
cared to
making
see.
Valkyrie a job title was brilliant.
Yes.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
The Hulk and Valkyrie like relationship, I was here for that. And then like the I don't know, what's the opposite of a bromance? Because you have frenemies, like
Right.
a bro frenemy.
Who are you referring to? Which characters?
Hulk and Thor, when like it first started.
It is
and
kind
then,
of a bromance.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then it became a bromance.
but it's kind of brotherly too. It has
Yeah.
a brotherly vibe.
'Cause, you
I mean,
know-
I know bro is brother, but like it feels like Thor
Not
was
bra.
like an older brother in a sense.
You're my favorite. I've always liked you more than the other guy, which he plays to both of them. Like, the writing was fun. It
Yes.
felt inventive. It was definitely a different departure.
And before Infinity War and Black Panther, like the
Yeah.
way they time these and place it, like it's
smart.
so good.
It's
good.
it's going to end with 22 films, and they paced it well. And speaking
and Korg
of
and Meek,
Oh, I mean,
Korg
yeah.
and Meek forever.
and Jeff Goldblum,
You've been waiting for that.
Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum, good
Korg
God, Jeff
and
Goldblum.
Meek, oh my
Every
Jeff
time-
Goldblum
Jeff
stops in the
Goldblum-
middle of a sentence in the middle of the movie. He
Jeff
just like puts the brakes on the entire film and just goes.
And you're,
What?
And that fit because the movie was so weird. When he's like, I
Yeah,
gotta see this
what
on
are you
closer,
talking
and they
about?
push him slowly in.
Excellent.
Now, speaking of your other favorite besides Hulk, the Batman was in a film this year. In the
Yes.
present.
Oh yes.
Is that how we talk about
He
it?
It is in the
currently
present.
In the present.
in
It
the
is-
present,
It just happened.
All right, your thoughts on Justice League?
That makes sense. I thought Justice League was so much better than I expected. I
Mm-hmm.
thought Justice League was a really fun time. I thought Justice League was colorful, lively, entertaining. I thought that the preconceived notions were too strongly tied to the negative. I think we went in post BVS and not pre Justice League. We left Batman vs Superman expecting to be angry at Justice League. I left Justice League very happy. I really enjoyed Flash. I really thought Crazy Trucker Aquaman worked for me. I'm really excited to see what Man of Steel is now that he's my Superman, and I'm really excited to see what Henry Cavill post Man from U.N.C.L.E. pre-Man of Steel 2 becomes, because I like Henry Cavill.
And post Mission Impossible
Post
6
Mission
or
Impossible
whatever.
mustache. Because, I mean, maybe I just
Yeah.
it's a quality mustache. But I really thought Justice League, by the third act of Justice League, I was like, yeah! But it took a while.
Do you guys
Okay.
remember when it came out about frickin' Gal Gadot's armpit hair having to get CG'd out?
No.
And that was a huge deal. Armpit game.
I didn't even mention Gal Gadot.
Stashgate?
I didn't even mention
Didn't
Gal
get
Gadot
mentioned?
because she's
I didn't even
so
know that.
strong. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman plus Gal Gadot Justice League is just universal yes. Every time she was on screen, I was like, oh, this movie's amazing. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman.
incredible.
So, like, I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite movie, but it definitely wasn't bad.
All right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how well they introduced their three rooks, like bringing in Aquaman, and oh my God, he's just I'm here for y'all's Aquaman. I'm gonna say that right off the bat.
You and me both.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
And
I
in
get
any
it,
case, yeah. But I really like how they did Cyborg.
Me too.
Like he was vulnerable, but so strong.
He was on our show.
and
Did you
he
see?
just
Like he
hurt.
was
Oh, Ray
there.
Fisher, yeah.
cool.
He was awesome, and like he was
I'm trying
really
to
good in the
scheme
movie.
a way to have him on ours. Be like, maybe he likes
He
Marvel
likes
a lot or
Marvels.
something.
I wonder
But
if
like
they
him,
would let
and I-
DC would be like, yeah, okay.
Sure, let's put some press.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Flash's relationship with his father in prison. Like when I first saw that, I felt like that hit a real note. And I appreciated that level of vulnerability, like straight off the bat when they had that. I understood that they were kind of setting him up for like a Peter Parker type character, like kind of like how we had for a Spider-Man. I thought for what DC does with like its grounded grittiness, I thought that fit well within what they do with their genre. So I enjoyed that Flash. I enjoyed his bouts of comedy and everything, and I kind of enjoyed how people weren't pulling the punches when it came to Batman.
Yeah.
I appreciated that for the recognition
When
of
he's like acting like a dick, you mean? Or
yeah, that, and just in general, where it's
Yeah.
like he's trying for this relationship with Wonder Woman, and she's like, I'm here for the work. What's
Yes.
going on with you? I appreciated that. And when all of them got together to go up against Steppenwolf, and then like they failed like the first time. And I felt like that was, yes, because they all just got together. If they defeat him now,
Sure.
it makes absolutely no sense. But then later on, when they're like standing, like what was a mountaintop or something like that, and they're standing and looking off into the distance, and I'm like, wow, this is our Justice League. And I enjoyed the fight that they had with Superman, because yes, that's the way that would have
It's
gone.
my favorite scene
That
in
was,
the
yeah, I
movie.
was going to say,
Because
that's the
that's
Justice
Superman.
By far.
I still love
That
the
is
sitting on
that.
the lasso.
The Flash
Screws
moment.
off Superman.
What I would have done with
Yeah.
Justice
The
League,
Flash, when Superman's like, what you doing?
The side eye.
they could have easily done the death and return of Superman in Justice League by having Superman come back and have the fight be Superman be the villain. If that scene in Superman was my favorite scene,
So
I
a
would
lot
have
of
loved
people
the
thought
third
that
act
was
of
going to be.
Superman.
And clearly, did you notice that he had his lip in that scene?
Yeah, no,
Zack
so
Snyder
clearly
made
that was an
scene.
option. Yeah,
I have
exactly.
never felt less more out of touch with reality than this winter with the critical reception of Justice League and Last Jedi. 2 movies which I really, really enjoyed. Looking at the amount of hate that they're both getting, Justice League way more than Star Wars, I was shocked. We luckily got to go see this screening on the Warner Brothers lot. We were very early to see it, so I didn't hear from anybody else how they were thinking it was. We went, we walked out, and we were like, wow, really strong movie. Can't wait for people to like this. Adam and I, more so than Mike and Johnny, were like, we could see people having some qualms with it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like maybe 70% Rotten Tomatoes. I was shocked with where this went. So I feel very lost. Like, they actually presented us something that had flaws but was a good product, and people bashed it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just, like I said, a product of BVS more than Justice League. I think it's a habit.
Maybe because it was just, you know, at a certain point it becomes cool to just bash something, or cool.
It got a Superman, though.
I think the thing
that was a really
that
good
this
Superman
this
scene.
film had so much on its shoulders from the beginning, and here's what really happened. This is how I see it when, you know, from how we do this show every week. It's like they were trying to tie together BVS and Justice League, and they had a plan. They clearly changed their plan. We've heard that they wanted to fire Zack Snyder before Justice League. So we have a film that was already in production that had to then change the way that the future films were going to be. When it was meant to be the guiding post for future films, they had to change that. And then brought in a new director, and I had no expectations. I thought Joss Whedon was maybe going to save the film, because I'm like, why would he want to get involved again after getting his ass kicked on Avengers 2? I heard him talking Comic-Con. I'm like, if Joss Whedon's in here, maybe it's going to be good. But
He got off Twitter. He was like, I can't even hang. Like,
exactly. So I
doesn't know what a
thought
real
they had
ass
good
kicking even
ideas.
is.
so he's in DC's house.
You know, so a lot of the things that people are complaining about, like it was too short, like they cut out Aquaman and stuff, I think that was more to service James Wan's film. Like the fact that they cut out Atlantis and all this stuff is because this Justice League became more of a standalone film and less of a gateway to the future of DC films, and they wanted to give James Wan more his film,
And that's fine.
and take out Kiersey Clemens and open up what they might want to do with Flashpoint. They just, things are changing.
Yep.
And this was a transitional film, but it was still, I agree with you, better than I thought it had any right to be. But also, my favorite scenes were Superman scenes, and I couldn't stand that freaking mustache, man. It really was disgusting.
The villain and the mustache were hilarious.
And
to
so
me.
that's what that
villain,
mustache
though,
keeps it from being
why does
rewatchable.
the
Like I don't want to
villain-
rewatch that movie because of that.
No, that's ridiculous. You have to get over that.
No, because
think
it
was
doesn't. It's
crazy
not
too.
beautiful.
But the villain people are hating on so much, and to me, just for like, it didn't matter. The villain just really didn't matter. This was called the Justice League. It's about the Justice League. And by the way, spoiler alert: if you stayed for the post-credit scene, then you're excited
Then you
about
get a-
where our villains are.
No, and I
going,
agree with
so.
that. I just didn't like that the villain felt so much like Megatron.
I was told to get a cookie to cheer me up.
Megatron felt like he felt,
Right. Oh, the chat.
No, the live chat
Like
also
your
mentions
head?
the live chat also mentions that it's an entire chat of Marvel and DC fans together, and it's all love in the live chat. So thank you guys for keeping it amazing.
so
That's exactly
cool.
what I wanted this
Draw
to be.
blood.
So we're gonna move on to TV because of time, and we had in the present Marvel TV was Punisher, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, The Gifted, and soon to be New Warriors gonna be in the future. So Punisher, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, and Gifted. That's a lot of great TV. We've clearly evolved this year.
Runaways.
I'm loving Runaways right
So
now.
we'll
It
start
is
with Runaways.
Sick.
Runaways
This
is
show is
incredible.
sick.
Ryan, we know you're
Doesn't it
watching.
hit everything? Yeah, Ryan.
Ryan,
we love you, dude.
Do you guys know the dad, Jeffrey Wilder, on Runaways?
Yes.
My favorite
Huge
character.
Marvel fan.
He was a fan of our show and reached out, came on. He loves Marvel movie news.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's a Marvel fan, but also a Marvel movie news fan. Ryan is my favorite character in the show. He's a great human being. We appreciate you.
The show is dope.
And the show's dope.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I was
Did you guys watch the
surprised.
OC? Do you guys your generation? I never saw that stuff. This is like my first time watching the OC.
Obviously, it was amazing. I am a little confused on why their mid commercials are like, in LA. It's like you have so much to sell. Why is LA the thing that you guys are selling? I get that locations is really important, but like it's literally
lot.
every
It's a
commercial
lot.
break. Like here we are in LA. It's like what?
Well, I guess everywhere else except for here is like
Yeah, everything's
likes
in New
LA.
York, so
I don't
Runaways
even
is like
care.
LA.
I literally don't even care. This show is dope.
And it feels like
Yes.
Los Angeles. If you're from here, you know how it feels,
Yes.
and they captured that really well.
I got invited to the premiere. You know, sometimes even for the streaming services, they have these premieres, right? So I went and saw it in a theater. Right? So the first episode
cool.
of Runaways.
Nice.
And Nico's scene, her first scene when she had the headphones in. I started bawling like a little schoolgirl.
Yes.
I don't know what happened where she like listens to this whole thing that like Alex says to
Yes.
her, and then she's just like, headphones, and she walks away
And
breaks
pretends that
down.
you can, yeah.
Oh,
Such
I'm
a
getting
good
choked
teen
up just
show.
talking about it. I was like crazy.
It feels like teenhood. It
Yeah.
feels like accurate. It doesn't feel
Wow.
melodramatic. It doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel out of touch.
I love how they humanize the parents. I mean, like when you actually like read the books,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's all about the kids, and it's pretty much off Jump Street, where it's then they go into their runaways and they're trying to, you know, balance out the force with being superheroes to their parents' supervillains. Well, with this, we take the time to actually visit those gray areas that you get.
You
with
see
parents
Mika's
and
mom
villains.
hysterical.
Man,
I
that
love
episode.
Brittany
Woo.
Ishibashi. Are you kidding
That's like
me?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
That is that gray area
Yeah.
where you're like, this is a stone cold woman. And
Yeah.
then you're like, unless
They don't let you have it. They don't
Yeah.
let you just close the books on anybody, which is what keeps a
What
great
sets the
series
television.
going.
And we need those female adults to be strong, because right now I will say the kid females are annoying. They're more annoying than the male kids right now. And I just want to be like Gert, chill, bro.
I know.
You will get your man if you just chill. Like,
Now, what I like.
It's like you're coming on too strong.
chill.
Just back off.
I also,
gorgeous girl.
But you
just
know her
breathe.
though. She exists though.
Yeah,
you
oh,
know
yeah.
that person.
Everyone knows that
Not
person.
valid,
Everyone knows
but
that
that's why I'm
person.
so glad that the women are ballers.
it was my
'cause
first. It
It's
was
like
the
everybody
first
knows
show-
Molly. I'm like, oh, Molly, girl, just
It
chill
was the
out.
first show where I'm in between like that teen and adult. I don't have a kid, but I'm also not a teenager. And it was the first show I was like, oh, I'm identifying with the parents. Oh God.
Yeah.
Like it was like, am I the adult? I'm the
Right.
adult. And like it was the first time I like watched the show and I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. And I really appreciate the fact that I don't think the kids are dumb because they're so well written. But I definitely understand what the parents are doing to protect their kids. Everyone's
That's the
written well.
coolest part I hear, because I haven't read the comics, but I hear that Greg, what's the character's
Sulkin?
name?
Oh, Chase.
Greg
Chase,
Sulkin.
Chase that in the comics that he's a more broy
Two-dimensional
dumb,
bro,
but
yeah.
that's so cool that in this they were like, nope, you're wicked smart, dude.
And I don't know if
That's your greatest
I don't-
secret.
I
yeah.
don't
your
know
boss
if,
is smart.
I'm not
Oh,
sure if
yeah.
I'm supposed to talk about it or not, but I'm gonna do it anyway because we're live. I got to
Yep.
interview Greg for a thing, and I was talking to Greg, and he said that everything leading up to the finale is just building up to the finale. This is all leading up to like a feature film finale. Everything at the end is just this giant crescendo of powers and like old lace, and the idea that a show can be this important while it's leading up to a huge I think that's such
They
great
took a
pacing.
good couple of episodes before they really got you in the supernatural, which is what you got to do. Like
Yeah.
you have to be in the world of just these real people, and then when it goes bug nut supernatural, you're on board for it because you're emotionally invested, and like that's just character stuff, which I think is what is the big defining trait of any of this comic book stuff
100%.
done well versus not.
Yep.
It's like building the characters, and then the special effects take care of themselves,
and
or the fight choreography.
a
or
practical
whatever.
raptor, a practical dinosaur. is
Yes,
so
practical
smart.
effects.
Like, can we tell like lace is one of the best things to happen in TV, much less superhero TV.
I'm wondering
So
how the
excited to see where that
millennials feel
goes.
about that. How do the younger people feel about the fact that it's a puppet
Tell us.
and not an animated
It
dinosaur?
looks better than
Because-
Jurassic World did.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
yeah.
budget's the catering budget on Jurassic World is old lace, but she looks better.
Yeah, but and
I like
clearly they don't have
Jurassic
the
World.
budget to do like a Game of Thrones dragon.
Roxy loves everything.
Not everything, but the things other people hate, I don't know what
How are you?
happened.
Were you on the puppet dragon?
No,
I
she
just
likes
like
Jurassic World.
Real quick, Adam.
Yeah.
I guess technically I am considered a millennial.
Okay.
Oh, what do you think?
I love the puppetry.
Yeah,
I love
man.
practical effects. I grew up with the Thing, watching the Thing practical effects. So I'm glad that they use it's always best when they use a mix of practical effects and
Augment.
CGI. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree.
because it blends really well.
Yeah, there's nothing like that tactile sensation. Like when you see that Jurassic Park dinosaur
Oh.
like lying down like that, it makes all the other ones make sense. Like, you know.
For anybody
and
listening on
Yoda
iTunes,
too,
that's-
right? Didn't they puppet Yoda
Yeah,
this
yeah.
time?
Anthony and
Yeah.
the booth. Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah.
And-
Thanks,
and-
Anthony. to boot.
And speaking of things being practical and brutal, and that's a very it's the stretch of a tangent. Yeah, it's a
You
stretch
know
of a
you
tangent.
really wanna
Punisher is insanely
So
good.
good.
Maybe
So
my least
good.
favorite comic book character.
Oh, I was like, where's the sentence going?
I've never liked the Punisher as much as I like this incarnation of
John
it. And I've seen
Bernthal.
all of them, Dolph Lundgren, all of them.
Yeah. Here's what I do with my
You
favorite
saw Dirty
things.
Laundry?
That one's good. That's my
Dirty
second
Laundry.
favorite.
I do like
Laundry.
that.
For me, it's Netflix and then Dirty Laundry are my Punishers.
Oh, I like
There you
Max too. The Max stuff later on, but as a kid, Punisher was not my guy. And this is so good. I mean, just this guy playing this, and when the way this story was told with the dichotomy of a post-traumatic stress situation,
the subject matter handled so
and it
well.
was handled so delicately, and they delayed, right? Didn't they not talk about it at Comic-Con because of all the gun violence?
Yeah.
And yet when it came out, I didn't hear anyone saying that it was tone deaf, and it wasn't.
No, it was
really
so
wasn't.
realistic with it. I mean, it did what Jessica Jones did, like in a different way, where it discussed and embraced PTSD and how that affects your life and the people around you. And it's like Punisher himself, he was so real. And I love how it started. It started with, he won. Everything, he won.
His origin
he
took
did his
place off
revenge.
screen. I love that it was a year 2 story.
He did everything. And then 6 months later, what does he have?
And that's
What
the
does he
beauty of
have
the
to do?
character is the last line of the show is the thesis statement of the series, and you
Brings
get
you
to there
right
and you
back.
earn it. And
Yeah.
he's trapped. He's forever looking for what his next thing is. And I also love that it handled the most difficult subject matter while also never being too heavy where you felt like you couldn't keep watching. Like the scene of them in the van with the hoagie was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
When you didn't give me one?
Yeah, he's like, did you make me one? He's like,
yeah, I love that too.
What was that scene was so funny.
I love that too.
But and if you told me 2 years ago, like, hey, there's gonna be a show out called Punisher, I'd be like, okay, I'm interested. You tell me I'm gonna care about Micro, okay, fine. You tell me I'm gonna care about Micro's family, I'm like, you're lying to me.
Yeah.
I was
care
so
so much.
invested.
Care about Billy Russo?
Like,
Yeah.
Oh man, the Jigsaw
man.
orgy.
So, all right,
Yes.
what do Girl Interrupted, Catcher in the Rye, The Punisher all have in common? Well, Roxy does this thing where when she loves something, she decides not to finish it. So, okay, I am obsessed. Also, Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars is on that list. Nope, the book Girl Interrupted. So I wait on things that I love. I hold the last episode. So I have not seen. I've watched in the first weekend Punisher until the last episode. I love it so much that I just am not willing to let it go yet.
I do that with video games. I will
so
play
cool.
all the way up to like the final boss battle.
How jealous are you of me? I still
You
have it.
you still have a
I
new
still
episode
have
of
an
Punisher.
episode.
You still have a
There
new
you go.
episode, and it's a great episode. The final episode's incredible.
It is so
I'll get there.
R-rated. It's so raw.
One day.
man.
It's
Don't
so
be
raw.
that jerk that tweets at me now
Well,
and spoils
audience,
it.
but we can all agree, Punisher, I would argue, is my favorite Netflix show, and I think the Netflix corner is my favorite of the MCU.
so good.
Like Netflix, Daredevil season 1, Daredevil season 2, Jessica Jones. It's so consistent. Like we were saying, we'd marry this person.
Oh, yeah.
Punisher is definitely like they're really good with kids. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that, like very important part of the relationship.
Punisher is really good with kids.
He played football with that.
I'm
nice
still very. He's great with Deborah Ann Wall. That's what one thing is great. Like the sweet scenes that with Frank and these women. Whether it's Micro's
Yeah.
family or
He's
Deborah
so
Ann Wall. It's like
respectful.
he's so respectful, but he's just you get it. He's so that guy.
No creep vibe at all.
No creep
Like,
vibe.
he makes me want to be a better man, but he also like is fighting and does a barrel roll with a body to hide bullets. Like what? Like
That's
the fact
amazing.
That, like the scene where he's like that chase happens. I was like, oh, this show's an action show. Oh right, I care about the family. Oh right, it's about all this important subject matter. Like Punisher was so
And they integrated Karen really well.
really well.
That's cool to say.
But I do love Daredevil stuff too.
Oh,
I
I
really
think-
Daredevil 1 and 2 are
Yeah,
amazing.
because I'm not a Karen fan from Daredevil. I was more on board with this particular Punisher because of how they did her, with the personality.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I know my girlfriend feels the same way. She's not the biggest fan of her, but to give her a totally different sort of point of view, and there's still mysteries with her, right? Like,
Yeah.
didn't they set
Yeah.
up things that she did in the past that have not paid off in like Daredevil season 1, I think?
Yeah,
She's
well-
still enigmatic, and that's good because she's not just
very
a
interesting.
drug addict like she is in the comics at times. She's usually a little thinner written, and I really think that this show sets us up for a lot more, and it also is just so smart. I appreciate how intelligent it was. Now, speaking of very good written, very smart shows, The Gifted is so much better than I expected it to
So
be.
I only watched the first 2, and then I did fall off. Remember how I told you guys
Yeah.
I don't give up on things? Okay,
Yeah.
so I lied sometimes.
problem.
But I'm hearing that I should keep going. I just felt like they didn't grab me enough.
It feels like a network show more than any of the other ones we've listed. If you have the caveat of knowing it's a Fox show, it does start to feel like a Fox show, but I like the characters enough, I'm in.
Yeah, I feel like they wasted an actress in it, and then that had me be. It was a little
Which
bit more
one?
difficult. Amy. Oh dear God, she was an Angel.
Did they
she's
kill her
also in
off on the show,
Buffy.
or-
No. Like the actress herself. I felt like they needed to give her something meatier. She played Strucker's wife. The chat room could actually tell me Amy Acker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Thank
There
you.
you go. Wow,
Thank
they were
you,
right
thank you,
on
thank
that.
you, thank you. Yeah, no, that happens to me a lot. I forget people's
No,
names.
that's great. And you
So-
had more people still with Amy. You're right. typing for placement on that.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, you have this, she's an incredible actress. She has such a body of work. I mean, I loved her alone in Angel. She played 2 different characters, completely different from each other. If you haven't watched Angel, I do recommend.
I do
recommend.
And who is she on Gifted? Because I've seen like 4 of Gifted or 5 of Gifted.
She's the wife. She's the mom.
She's supposed to be a doctor
Oh,
in
yes,
it.
okay.
Yeah. So with that, I felt like maybe there were too many parents. Maybe have one of the parents get captured or something. I also fell off after the 2nd episode, so I'm kind of.
So you're not caught up on Gifted.
I'm not
either.
caught up.
I
on
just
Gifted.
jumped back in. I'm 2 behind, but I'm now up to 7 or whatever. I feel like once I accepted it was a network show, I was like, oh, here we are. Like once it hit network, I was in. So since I'm going to watch it, let's move on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes,
It
Agents
just started
of
back up,
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
so
what you
it's present.
I just started season 1.
So you're in the
my
I
past.
know, and you're like binging it.
It is my past.
Call
right
back
now.
to season 1. This is not going to mean much to you, but where the hell is Deathlock?
Well, they're in space.
Right, but he's been gone for a long
Yeah,
time.
well, Ghost Rider
Nobody's
Bunch,
mentioned
Deathlock.
the word Deathlock.
Aren't they not only in space but in the future, like way in the
Yeah.
There's a
future?
lot going on.
Yeah.
The Ghost Rider stuff was the best the show has been for me, just because it was like sort of a mainstream-ish. But even Ghost Rider is still kind of a B character, I guess.
Yeah.
My problem with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is just like there's really nobody from the comics that I can really sink my teeth into. There's no main characters, and I've watched almost every episode. I'm like 1 behind, so I've stuck with it. But it doesn't totally feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. from the comics to me.
How great is Agent May though?
She's awesome.
Yeah, and I love
Melinda
Quake as well.
Mayweather.
Quake
Yeah,
is
Quake.
She's so good.
Yeah,
she
like-
kicks ass. Every time I see her and I'm like, that's Mulan, I just love it.
She's Mulan?
Yeah, that's Mulan.
Oh, no
that's
way.
Who voices
In the
Mulan.
Oh, man.
That's who, she's not playing the live action Mulan.
Oh,
She voices
she's-
Mulan.
She's Mulan.
She voices Mulan.
Wow.
Disney-
Wait, when she
She's
was
OG Mulan.
Yeah.
No, she's like,
Oh, Agent May you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Quake.
Not Quake. No, we
Okay.
have 2 different.
Gotcha.
I was like, what's happening right now?
Because Quake's
Yeah.
half Asian. Okay, so I thought it could have been a
Possible.
Mulan.
No,
Now,
she
the-
voices Mulan. I'm pretty positive you guys have me second guessing, but I think so.
I love Coulson. I love that actor. I love that it stays separate of the Marvel universe, but touches on it occasionally. I think it's also another
that's
network,
cool.
a network show, and I'm not big on like network tone, so I don't have much to say about it. But I do think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans are some of the coolest people. They're so into it. Like
They
it's,
are
it's such a passion.
passionate.
Yeah.
The problem is we are really spoiled beyond all the comic book shows with such great streaming shows and
Netflix
stuff
is-
like this. Like
Runaways and the Netflix stuff is more my jam.
Runaways comes out,
Yeah.
and I'm new Runaways comes out. Like you know what you like by what you actually watch, and when you see stuff building up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I kind of want to watch that Runaways.
Runaways
right
is
now.
where
Yeah.
like Runaways is the perfect
Runaways.
young adult show, and then all the Netflix stuff is my binge.
And I got a couple of Shields, and I'm like, all right, when am I going to catch up on my Shields
Yeah.
and like my 20 CW shows?
You know what's a great time to catch up? Christmas time.
Ah.
It is, and I'm going to.
Look at this
Like,
Christmas special.
Yeah, this entire special.
Now,
Just
Yeah.
watch
speaking
everything.
of present TV, you guys, like I said earlier,
We have a
DC
lot going on.
has been running the
Yes, you
TV
do.
game. I'm gonna go ahead and say this
Ooh.
crossover X with Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, Legends. You guys also have
Yes.
Lucifer and Gotham. Go!
Oh
Yikes.
God, it was so good. Our crossover episodes were amazing. A lot of people said that the crossover was better than actual Justice League was, and I don't know if that's
There's
true.
an argument to be made
But
there.
I do feel like it was super earned. Like we've been watching these shows for a really long time, so to have that 4-hour crossover was like,
It's just so cool to do.
I run out of patience with the shows that do 22, 23 episodes a year.
a
I
lot.
just feel
but
like
we
the
love
story
them for
gets
our
drawn
actors
out.
who get paid for
Sure,
them.
they're good, but
Yeah,
the fact that
they're great.
the
Thanks.
fact that this crossover just told a story
yeah.
shows that these writers do know how to
And they're
write.
thinking so far
And they
ahead.
use their budget great. Like, I just don't like the way the stories are drawn out that long. I'm sorry, like it loses me. And I'm like 3 episodes behind a lot of the CW shows, but I jumped ahead to watch the crossover, and I was super engaged, and I thought it was amazing. I thought the way they used the special effects were great. I thought the Ray was amazing. It was so good.
We're losing a lot of our actors from Legends, though, and we're switching things around. And
I like Legends. Legends is sort of my
Legends is
favorite
the best.
show
Me
because
too.
it can be sort of anthology and
Yeah.
less like has to be less like a procedural.
if you're only gonna watch one, that's the one because it's just like whack out of this world.
And that's what I think is
I hear
amazing
that from
that
everybody.
they've
Yeah.
done is they've not only built all these shows separately, they build them together, and all the characters work together, and the network trusts them to have a 4-hour. Like the budget on that must have been
Yeah.
crazy. And I really think it's a
Yeah.
testament to where comicdom is, like where this is. Like
And Berlanti
comic
knows
must-
this world, who famously wrote Green Lantern way in the dark of Christmas past.
Yeah.
But this guy is like a super nerd for DC, and obviously they went through a tremendous thing playing with Kreisberg right now.
CW's like a WB network. I mean, obviously, but CW's like a DC network now because of Arrow and
Kinda is,
Berlanti.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Berlanti's reshaped
And now
what
with
that
Black
is.
Lightning coming there.
Oh my
Sorry,
God,
that's
Black
fine.
Lightning.
Well, we're getting there.
So Gotham. Gotham is really strong, finally. Honestly, I really believe it. I know it's lost all of its viewers at this point because it teased, like, it did everything it could to make you want to leave. It was like, we dare you. Go ahead, we dare you.
Turn it up, maybe.
And everyone did. And then it was like, just kidding. We're actually going to be a dope show now.
How's the kid from Shameless as the Joker? Is he?
He is now coming back
Is he
into
the
it.
Joker though?
Yeah.
It's always, is he
Cameron,
not?
Cameron Monahan.
Yeah.
He's a talented actor.
Oh, he's so good in Shameless.
I don't understand why they're doing anything
they're
with
doing.
him or what, but I don't mind him.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Lucifer is, I think, my favorite of the DC shows.
All right.
This show is rad, and you can catch up at any point. Like, just jump in.
That's what
It
I
is
need
so
to catch
good.
up on too.
That's what I need to watch.
Like, gory and weird, and you're like, can you show that on network television? 2 weeks ago, something happened where I was like, I'm literally positive you're not allowed to show that.
What's the premise of it?
So it's this guy, Lucifer, who is the devil, who is here. He's been sent here from hell, and he is trying to escape his angelness, because he's an angel.
Okay.
And he is dealing with people. He's not allowed to kill anybody, because no angels can kill people. But he's like granting wishes for people. So people, he can say to somebody, what's your greatest desire? And they say it to him, and he's works, but like in sneaky ways to try to wish it. And he's
that
also
kind of
now
thing.
on the police force, but nobody knows
He's a
the devil.
Vertigo character
Yes.
from like the Neil Gaiman verse.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
this.
That era.
It's like
Yeah,
the
it's so
Lucifer of
good.
that.
Thank you. Those are the key words.
Yeah.
And they just introduced Cain as a character, which is really cool too, like Cain and Abel.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so
because
quick,
I went to wrestling, so
in
I'm
quick
judged.
summation, quick summation. How'd you guys feel about this season of Flash, Supergirl, and Arrow Legends individually, like the actual 4 shows?
Okay, so I really love Manu Bennett. Is that his name?
Yep.
As Deathstroke.
Yeah.
I love that guy on Spartacus.
How do you think Joe
Like,
Manganiello's going to do?
What's that?
How do you think Manganiello's going to do?
For
Now we have 2
Deathstroke,
Oh, I
yeah.
liked him in the 12 seconds I saw of him as that.
That's
Like,
real
Right?
good.
When he was standing there.
I liked him as Alcide. I mean,
that's
he's got presence, man. He's got
I like
movie
his
star
social
charm.
media
you know?
game too. I like his
Yeah.
hype for it. That's for sure real. And yeah, I think it'll be great.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, like the shows, like I don't find the CW DC shows as engaging as I would like, and with the amount of content, the amount of time I can spend watching TV or like living life is like
Yeah.
getting limited, and the competition is getting high. So
Like we said, Runaways are a big surprise. When Hulu announced Runaways,
Yes.
I was like, this might be great. And then it is great, and I
is
consistently am
great.
drawn to it.
yeah,
So it goes Legends of this season alone.
Yep.
Legends of Tomorrow is #1. Then it's Flash. Then it's Supergirl. Then it's Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that Supergirl's now my #3 because it was my #1 for the last couple of years.
Okay.
And I'm actually enjoying the Reign storyline, but the other 2 shows have stepped up their game, while Supergirl has remained the same.
Perfect. All right.
right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Now,
can't
on
wait
a-
for. Oh wait, we're
Yeah.
getting into the
Are we
future.
getting there?
And
Are we getting
now it's time for the Ghosts of Christmas Comic Miss Present.
Future.
Future. We just did the
But
present.
now you're in the future, which is your present
That's true.
future.
Whoa, it all makes
Present
sense.
future.
Retroactively.
And now.
Flashpoint.
And now.
You did it on purpose.
Time for the Ghosts of Christmas Miss Future.
Okay,
Now,
so we're talking movies.
We're
DC.
talking movie. DC is going to head us off. In the
Oh.
future of DC, we have confirmed Aquaman, Flashpoint, Batman Solo. It's confirmed, but it's wiggly. We also have a shakeup that's coming. We have a Batgirl, a Shazam, 87 Harley Quinn movies, and Man of Steel 2
maybe.
with a director.
Ish.
Theoretically, a director I love dearly, and Henry Cavill in a great Superman.
Maybe.
What do we got?
Well, Aquaman is the only DCU film next year, which points
Looking
to what,
forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, again, to get back to the whole Justice League thing and the shakeup thing, it's like I felt like they knew that they were switching strategy, which means that they had to slow down their output because they were changing the way they were making these films. I think James Wan almost walked away from Aquaman, and then at the end decided to make the film because he got the approval over the filmmaking process that he wanted. I think the same things happens with Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the future. So I think that Justice League, unfortunately, I can't believe it didn't do as well. It did as poorly as it did because it was better than I think some of the other films that
It felt
crushed
like
it
an
at the
annual
box office.
to me. Justice League felt like an annual, and now we have
Yeah,
new titles.
well,
started.
like the last comics that come out when they're cleaning up before you launch
Yeah.
New 52 or Rebirth
a
or something.
wrap-up annual.
So, I think I'm very optimistic about Aquaman, very optimistic about Shazam, extremely optimistic about Flashpoint, as I think it will be Ben Affleck's last Batman. And when he was talking about the way he wanted to transition, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic about the future.
All in on Aquaman. Also pretty excited for many other of the movies we have slated,
Wonder
like
Woman 2.
Shazam,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman
Yeah,
2.
Wonder Woman
I'm
2.
amped
It's just
for,
not next year, so I
of
didn't mention
course,
it,
with
so.
Patty. But what I'm not excited for is Flashpoint. I think it's too soon for a Flashpoint film. I don't understand why we're going Flashpoint. It's not fair. Ezra Miller was my least favorite of the Justice League, not just because of his performance, because I think he's a very talented performer, but because of the character. It just was awkward and didn't quite fit for me. And now we're going into a Flashpoint movie where I haven't even met his girlfriend. I don't even know his life, and now we're
Yeah.
Flashpointing. It doesn't make sense to me. I get it as a good way to let's see Batman out the door. Although I think it's even more confusing that we're going to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan in there during Flashpoint, and then we're going to have
A new
Nightwing
Batman.
take over as Batman.
Right.
We're going to do 3 Batmans
Or
in
Jake
3 consecutive
Gyllenhaal
years.
or-
What's happening here?
Yeah.
So I'm worried about that, but I'm excited for the future of DC, especially if we keep doing James Wan, Patty Jenkins, New Blood.
Bold directors with vision.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
strong directors. These are all brilliant directors.
Because
But
we're
they-
interested in their point of view, right?
Yes.
That's what we want. I mean,
McKay.
that's why you have Joss Whedon, right?
Yeah.
Doing Batgirl.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
as far
it's
as
like
we
that
stand
is,
now.
that is a
Allegedly.
strong point of view. Allegedly,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's a really strong point of view, and look at his track record when it comes to like writing females or having strong females. You know, you have Buffy, you have
And
I know.
Scorsese and Joel Silver producing a Joker movie.
I
Like, there's a
know.
lot of big stuff.
There's
and
a
if
lot
it's
of
all
stuff, but it's
creative-
all floating out there. And
Yeah.
the thing is, the difference with the MCU versus DC is like Kevin Feige would never allow even the whisper of any of those films to be out there unless it was already confirmed and they knew that where it was going.
Right.
DC makes no announcements. They're like backdoor side. I heard from someone here. There's no mouthpiece. There's nobody really speaking to it.
And
because-
Jeff Johns just got demoted, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I mean, it's.
I
Well, I
love
mean,
Jeff
listen.
Johns.
There's.
Who doesn't?
It's
Great guy.
there's no confidence built up there, so there's a lot of potential ideas. But right now, you don't have confidence in the brand,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have people knowing what that product is going to be. That's why, like a third Thor movie, when most people didn't like the second one, can
make it
still
crazy.
crush because it's like they'll get it right because they're Marvel.
I'd go Batman Beyond at a Flashpoint. I'd just take it out in a weird world, have the
Ooh.
Wachowskis direct it, make it a speed racer tone, crazy madness, and cast someone new and young.
Love
but they're
Batman
scared.
Beyond.
They don't have. You need to be that
Then what are
bold.
you gonna do with your Nightwing
need
film?
confidence.
That can be the modern day. Have future Batman Beyond, have
You know,
present day Nightwing.
I
'Cause
would-
screw it.
I would love for them to have an
Then
Oracle
it's different
film.
at least.
You know, if we could have a film with
well,
Oracle,
that could be in a Gotham
like,
City
that would be-
Sirens
Who
or
do you
something
want?
like that.
For Oracle?
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't know. I'd go with somebody fresh and new. Yeah, I'm not really great at casting off the top of my head.
Yeah,
with
no,
things.
that's- I
really put you
have
on the
to.
spot.
I have to
Yeah.
actually think about it. But yeah, I mean, thinking of that, I mean, I forget the name of the graphic novel that I read, but it was. Well, in any case, it was like Oracle Origins type of thing,
Yeah.
but I think it was slightly off the actual path of it. But in any case, with having it be where she goes through everything that she does, and she's still trying to be a support system for Batman and trying to hold up everything that had to do with Gotham at the same time, I was like, how do you not tell this story already? How is this not something huge or like a TV series or at least an animated series where we have her? I mean, not only is it pretty good representation for having somebody who's handy capable and then is also genius level and had to do all of her superheroine, stuff before, but she also has to continue her life past that point.
And they have talked about having Cyborg be a representation for handy-capable people
Yeah.
and what exactly that would look like in the future, but I agree. I mean, that would be a
it's
great
confusing
story to tell.
when you have like Chris McKay talking about casting the Nightwing film and no one knows where that Nightwing
Where
is
it
going to be
lands.
born out of or what it means
Yeah.
or what the Matt Reeves
And the
movies are
Teen
going to
Titans
be.
show that keeps popping up and out. And
So,
there's
like-
just so much.
Teen Titans.
There's just so much uncertainty.
So
We know the
Teen
next couple
Titans.
films are going to be good. I mean,
Right.
next year, like I said, there's only one film, so a
One.
lot's going to happen in the next year for the infrastructure.
Next
of
year's
DC.
Comic-Con's gonna be nuts for you guys, and we also we get Zach Levi and The Rock and Shazam. We get all this stuff.
Well, not
down
The Rock
line.
is not confirmed for Shazam.
He's going to be in a Black Adam
Yeah.
standalone.
That's what they're talking about. Who
So-
knows what will happen?
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
we'll see.
Chances.
He's one of those actors that I'm happy with him doing DC and also Marvel. So I just
Who,
want
The
him
Rock?
to The Rock. Yeah, I just want him to do everything, and I want him to bring Kevin Hart with him.
He doesn't have any Marvel yet, right? The
No.
Rock?
yeah,
not
not as far
close.
as I know.
No, she's just
Kevin
pushing.
Hart
No,
is
I'm
going to
saying that
find
he could
himself
do-
in
he could
one of
do
those
both.
universes.
100%, man.
He's going to be like, he's just deciding which one. I mean,
Yeah, he's just gonna
I
land
want him
somewhere.
to be like the Q character for some superhero.
Yeah, that would be
somewhere. It's
cool.
like-
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be really great.
So that would be your bold lineup of a lot of question marks and maybes, and of course Aquaman and Flashpoint are locked in, but over the course of the future, so this is Marvel's next year. We have Black Panther, New Mutants, Infinity War, Deadpool 2, Ant-Man, Wasp, Venom, X-Men, Dark Phoenix, and Spider-Verse.
I'll see myself out.
So, but you guys have a younger universe. You have a younger universe. It's getting its feet.
Thank you. That's what you say to basketball teams that are not doing well. You got a younger team. There's a lot of room for growth. Yeah, you guys have a great.
I give no. Like I said, look at the TV we just listed. You guys are running the TV.
Y'all are hitting on TV and like animated series.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god!
I keep
love
being
me
like-
We
some
want
of that.
billion-dollar blockbusters.
I
Screw
keep-
TV.
I keep being like Runaways and Punisher. You guys are like, we've got 82 network shows.
He's stupid.
Yeah.
I want a big blockbuster movie that everybody loves.
I love how accessible DC is for like TV and animated. I
Yeah, it
love
really
the
is.
Suicide Squad animated movie.
You guys having great movies means that that
keep
movies are
going.
good. No, but that's a good thing for DC, for Marvel, for Star Wars, for any franchise that there is. Not even just franchise movies. The better movies are, the better other movies are trying to step up their game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Black Panther
that's-
looks so freaking good.
Oh my god!
I
It
think
is,
and like,
so
and
good.
Infinity War is after that.
All right.
It is
Yeah.
so. It's gonna be so good.
So me walking by Michael B. Jordan this week
Right.
in a very skinny hallway where
What?
it's just the two of us. I'm at
story.
Soho House, and he's walking by, and we're in that narrow hallway where there's like, you couldn't look away, you couldn't. So I'm just staring him down, and he looks at me, and we walk, and he goes, "Hello," and I was like, "Hi," and then I thought to myself, I was like, why did he say hello to me? Oh my God, this is amazing. And then I was like, oh, because he's a nice human being, and that's what you do when you walk by somebody. And that is the whole story, but I like don't get that starstruck, and I was like, mouth on the ground, holy crapple roly.
I next year realized.
So cute.
Next year, there's only January is the only month there isn't a Marvel property dropping on either film or TV, which is
Really?
insane.
And
February
who did
through
you guys
December.
cast as like Marvel? I know that's 2019.
Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Yeah, screw you guys.
So,
A little no
screw
name's
you
gonna be
guys.
really
He's
good.
going with
You
a
might have
no
heard
name.
of them. Jude. I think it's Jude Law. They're telling me. Jude Law.
Yeah, and you know what? Chances are,
stupid.
depending on how that deal works out, maybe we do get Super Scroll.
What
you
I
know?
love about this deal right now is now Rogue can absorb Captain Marvel, and we can actually get Rogue powers and stuff like that.
That
Like,
is
this
a
deal
fact.
is enormous.
Listen,
as far
I wanted
as,
to
like-
tell you. So, with regard to that deal, I'm actually the only one is at the table that might become unemployed by this deal because I do a show called
High
FX
stakes.
Movie Download, and I don't know if there will be an FX in a couple of years. Okay, but I'm still as a fan. I'm like, yeah, unemployment, but I'm gonna get to see a Hulk and Thing fight, and maybe a Wolverine Hulk throwdown. Like, yeah, life's good. I'll get another job.
Childhood legacy job. What do you want?
I'm glad
Sorry.
you feel that way, but the fact that 5,000 to 10,000 jobs are going to be lost is it's no freaking joke, man. This is huge,
Yeah,
and
monopolies
like,
are
you're
not a
lucky
good
because
thing.
you have diversified your career enough that you'll be fine. And like, I actually don't know if that show is going anywhere. We don't know. FX has some amazing shows, so
Absolutely.
as a consumer, even that's
I
not
feel like
something
that's
I would
gonna
want to see. I love FX. I love Fox, and I'm confused about what's going to happen to Gotham and Lucifer, which both shows, by the way, I said I love because there's no way that they're going to let Disney take
But
those
here's the
Weapons
thing.
on Fox, I
I
get it.
heard that that Disney doesn't own the Fox network now.
No, they have the entertainment division, but
And
Fox
the cable
News is,
ones.
News and sports is what they're keeping, but
No,
they're
but they
getting
are allowed to
getting
take the
everything
unscripted.
else.
Because
Like,
the
they'll own
broadcast
Hulu,
network,
for
because
one.
Disney owns ABC, I heard that they couldn't acquire Fox the network as well because you couldn't have multiple networks. But what I heard was that they could get the cable channels.
Interesting.
And people haven't been talking about
They're
that.
getting to pluck their shows.
Yeah, well, they'll have the studios that produce a lot of the shows, but the ownership of the network itself, I believe that is some kind of monopoly situation.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to FX, FXX, and of course the studios, the animation, Blue Sky Animation that
Right.
produce all that stuff. Do you guys think that they will keep like 20th Century Fox as a studio to make normal adult movies?
I
Because
next 7
think
years
that
they
would
have.
be so smart
Yeah.
for them to do because think about it. Disney is they're a brand of kindness. You know, they're the kind brand. When you think of Disney, you think of
Yeah.
certain specific. You don't think of something like Logan or Deadpool
right.
or the
You need to
awesomeness
have a
of
brand
Black
over,
Panther.
yeah.
But it's if they keep something like that and then just
Well,
keep on
Miramax,
producing
they
other
made Tarantino movies,
but
you know,
pertaining
like-
to the Marvel movies, I've already heard that yes, Bob Iger said that Deadpool will keep its
R.
R rating in tone. But do you think they'll do like a Max line of Marvel
love
films
that
or
so
something
much.
like that?
I think they easily
Moon
could,
Knight,
and it would be
Deadpool,
smart.
X-Force. That's what I want.
Moon Knight,
Moon,
oh
like I
my
want them to do a
God.
separate.
I want
we're
Moon Knight
talking
to be
about
like the Raid.
so many releases though, and what you guys have to remember is now they will be competing with themselves.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my
So
concern.
they
My
don't
concern
wanna
from the
put
beginning
out-
was Fox had their own universe. They could put out a movie 3 times
Which,
a
from
year.
the DC point of view, means that in 2 years, I feel like there'll be a more equitable amount of Marvel versus
Yeah,
DC
I
films.
agree.
Not next year, but DC is going to be really quickly at
I'd
the
say
point where there'll be
2020.
3 and 4 coming out.
Yeah.
In 2019 and 2020.
I'd say 2020 they're going to be neck and neck, and I also think because of the way Fox has structured their world, they can't catch up as fast, even in the Marvel brand, because it wouldn't be fair to the Marvel properties laid out so far ahead.
And when the Schneikes is Reed Richards going to show up in the Marvel
it's
universe?
coming.
And how's that
Our
going to
fan cast on
happen?
today's show.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
so
so
excited.
excited.
It is coming.
So we have all those movies. I'm really excited
and
for
Black Panther, Black Panther,
Black Panther,
Black Panther.
We've got the New Mutants. Obviously, it looks like a horror movie. Infinity Wars this summer. Deadpool 2
Yeah.
is going to be hilarious.
Yes, I'm so excited for Deadpool
I love
2.
Deadpool so
I
much.
love
He's my
Deadpool.
boy.
I
Deadpool's
love
my
Deadpool.
guy.
He's
So
my boy.
Deadpool 2, do you think it will have any kind of backlash like we talked about before? It's like they already built what it is. You're not going to be as surprised by
People are
it.
gonna
So
be, no matter what, people are going to complain that it's either a rehashing or not as funny. But I think just like Guardians, it's going to be as good. But they're going to be. There's no way to reinvent the wheel.
I
It's
hope
gonna-
they
it's
do
gonna be a
another
beautiful
Green Lantern
continuance.
joke.
I think they're going to do Deadpool 1 jokes. I think they're going to do. You know what I mean?
I
Like, I
love
think
it.
it's going to be.
I love it. I love it.
I think
Yeah,
the
I love
action's
Deadpool
going to
so
be
much.
sick. I think they're going to
the
like
shot-
have some.
I think we're
The
going to see
trailer-
some more mutants in it.
Yeah,
I think
they
we're
have
going
the
to see some
budget
more
now.
besides.
They can backdoor the
I mean,
pilot.
for Deadpool 2.
Right.
Yeah.
They have the backdoor pilot for the entire X-Men universe is now Deadpool 2 and X-Force.
I think the Thing is going to show up in it. I know there was
Okay,
at
we-
least a version where that was
we
going
need
to
to do
happen.
the fast forward
we
button
also,
here.
DC TV, you guys in the future have Black
Black
Lightning.
Lightning.
Yes.
Oh my God, I am so excited for that
Crest
show. It
Williams,
looks
yo.
so good.
Yeah.
The dopest.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's like a real superhero family. Like
the real
superhero.
deal.
Like it's the real thing.
and the nicest
going
group of
against
actors
conflict.
I've ever
And the
frickin'
first
met.
seasons
God, it's
are
gonna
always
be so
great
good.
Yep.
before they run out of stories to tell. Those first couple of seasons are always hot on fire. Also, Titans, we've
Titans,
been seeing
Titans.
these
And
pictures.
Krypton.
Hawk and Dove, we've seen freaking Robin.
Hawk and Dove doesn't look as dope as Robin looks, and
Robin looks amazing.
And Robin looks incredible.
But they all look true to the
and
comics,
they
though.
look so like we trust our audiences to believe in
We're
comic
but
characters.
desperately running out
So
of
good.
time. We're
And
running into the end
desperately
of
running
the
out of time.
future.
The final of the future is Marvel's TV, which is second seasons of Iron Fist and Luke Cage, second season of Jessica Jones, a Cloak and Dagger show, Marvel Rising, their animated entire universe, and Daredevil season 3.
Also, we have Krypton on Sci-Fi. Don't
Krypton on
forget
Sci-Fi,
that. Oh
yeah.
my God!
There's so
Cloak
much
and Dagger
content.
I'm excited
Cloak and Dagger's
about.
gonna be so good. So this
So
has been a bold Christmas special from Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. Thank you so much. All comic fans should love all comic fans and all comic properties. Marvel and DC uniting under love. And thank you guys
So
for being
much
amazing.
love.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Tweet us, like us, find us. Bye, Internet. It's been a pleasure.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.